And there's absolutely nothing that we can go through or have to go through in this life that those one pair of hands can't guide us safely through to the other side. What a great, great message, and how well done, as always, by Susan. I'd like to ask, if you will, to turn to our passage for today, and I say passage sort of hesitantly because it's only one verse, only needed to be one verse. Quite a contrast to about 3 weeks ago when we read an entire book, the book of Jonah, if you were here that day, but today we're only looking at one verse, and it's only necessary to look at one verse for the reason we're here today. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20. Please pay close attention to these words. For you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. I thought about this, and I came to the conclusion that Jesus would be okay with me saying this, and as long as he's okay with me saying this, I think it's okay to say it. Can we draw a little bit of a parallel between what Jesus has done for us in spiritual terms and what veterans have done for us and continue to do for us in patriotic terms? I think we can. In both cases, we have been bought at a price. We as Americans are not just, somebody didn't just wake up one morning and hatch our rights for us. They've not just been given to us on a silver platter. A lot of people have had to see things and go through things that I'll never imagine. For me to be able to stand up here before you today and do what I do week after week. For me to have the home I've got and the freedoms I've got. What I've got has been bought at a price. And the fact that one of these days I'm going to live in heaven has been bought at a price. Somebody besides me, somebody was working for a bigger cause than this. Somebody besides me, somebody bigger than me, somebody greater than me, somebody who had a whole lot more power than me, took the initiative and bought me at a price. The price of his own body and his own blood. So my liberty as an American has been bought at a price. And my freedom as a Christian and my inheritance as a Christian has been bought at a price. There was an episode of the Andy Griffith Show when Opie was real young. It was one of the early episodes. And I won't get this exactly right. Kevin will. Earl would know this better than I would. I won't get the words exactly right, but I think I can paraphrase the meaning. Opie and some of the mischievous boys were outside of the courthouse one day, and some of the other mischievous boys decided that they had the bright idea that they were going to put the squad car in neutral and push it down in front of the fire hydrant. Well, Opie had some misgivings about this. And Opie's response was this, or something to this effect: I really don't think we ought to be doing this, so I ain't gonna push very hard. I feel like today that I owe you an apology. I feel like I need to apologize to you, but I don't feel like I need to apologize too hard. I need to apologize to you a little bit today, because the vast majority of what you're going to hear from me for the next little bit is going to be reading to you. I'm going to be reading to you. And for that, I'm sorry. You probably don't like to be read to, and if I were in your position, I probably wouldn't necessarily like to be read to, and I'm sorry. But I don't feel like I need to apologize very hard for a couple of reasons. Number one, it doesn't happen real often. I don't do it to you often. I try my best to paraphrase my sermons. I try to sometimes memorize certain parts of them, because I just feel better about presenting sermons that way. I don't like to read to you any more than I have to. But the second reason that I'm kind of like Opie and I don't feel like I need to apologize real hard is because what I'm going to share with you as I read to you the next 2.5 pages of what I brought with me this morning is too important for me to miss a single word of it. And I was afraid, very afraid, that if I tried to memorize it or tried to paraphrase it, something would be forgotten. Something would be omitted. Something would be left out. And on this important day, what we're doing today, I didn't want one line left out. I didn't want one word left out. I didn't want one paragraph left out. And I was afraid that if I did anything other than read it to you, something would be left out, and I didn't want that to happen. So if you will indulge me for just a few minutes, it won't take long. It's about 2.5 pages, and it's double print. It's not even single print. So it won't take that long. Here we go. Veterans Day is an American holiday honoring military veterans. Both a federal holiday and a state holiday in all states, it is celebrated on the same day as Armistice Day or Remembrance Day in other parts of the world, falling on November the 11th, the anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I. By the way, before I go any further, I meant to say a minute ago, I got some of this information from Wikipedia, and I got some of it from just some anonymous sources. A lot of this, I don't even know who wrote it. Veterans Day is largely intended to thank living veterans for their service, to acknowledge that their contributions to national security are appreciated, and to underscore the fact that all those who served, not only those who died, have sacrificed and done their duty, and done it well. November 11th was declared Veterans Day in 1919 by President Woodrow Wilson to honor the soldiers of World War I, and was then known as Armistice Day. On June 1st, 1954, the holiday known as Armistice Day changed to Veterans Day as a tribute for the nobility of all soldiers who have fought for or who currently are fighting for the United States. Now some anonymous thoughts. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. A protest once raged on a courthouse lawn round a makeshift stage they charged on. 1,500 or more, they say, had come to burn a flag that day. A boy held up the folded flag, cursed it, and called it a dirty rag. An old man pushed through the angry crowd with a rusty shotgun shouldered proud. His uniform jacket was old and tight. He had polished each button shiny and bright. He crossed that stage with a soldier's grace until he and the boy stood face to face. Freedom of speech, the old man said, is worth dying for, good men or dead. So you can stand on this courthouse lawn and talk us down from dusk to dawn. But before any flag gets burned today, this old man is going to have his say. My father died on a foreign shore in a war they said would end all wars. But Tommy and I weren't even grown before we fought in a war of our own. And Tommy died on Iwo Jima's beach in the shadow of a hill he couldn't quite reach, where 5 good men raised this flag so high that the whole world could see it fly. I got this bum leg that I still drag, fighting for this same old flag. Now there's but one shot in this old gun, so now it's time to decide which one. Which one of you will follow our lead to stand and die for what you believe? For as sure as there is a rising sun, you'll leave here before this flag burns, son. Now this riot never came to pass. The crowd got quiet, and that can of gas got set aside as they walked away to talk about what they had heard this day. And the boy who had called it a dirty rag handed the old soldier the folded flag. So the battle of the flag this day was won by a tired old soldier with a rusty gun, who for one last time had to show to some, this flag may fade, but these colors don't run. Who is a veteran? Who is a veteran? Some veterans bear visible signs of their service: a missing limb, a jagged scar, a certain look in the eye. Others may carry the evidence inside them: a pin holding a bone together, a piece of shrapnel in the leg, or perhaps another sort of inner steel. The soul's ally forged in the refinery of adversity. Except in parades, however, the men and women who have kept America safe wear no badge or emblem. You sometimes cannot tell a vet just by looking. Who then is a veteran? He is the cop on the beat who spent 6 months in Saudi Arabia, sweating 2 gallons a day, making sure the armored personnel carriers didn't run out of fuel. She or he is the nurse who fought against futility and went to sleep sobbing every night for 2 solid years. He is the POW who went away one person and came back another, or didn't come back at all. He is the parade-riding legionnaire who pins on his ribbons and medals with a prosthetic hand. He is the career quartermaster who watches the ribbons and medals passing by. He is one of the 3 anonymous heroes in the Tomb of the Unknowns, whose presence at the Arlington National Cemetery must forever preserve the memory of all the anonymous heroes whose valor dies unrecognized with them on the battlefield or in the ocean's sunless deep. This one's going to be tough. He's the old guy bagging groceries at the supermarket, palsied now and aggravatingly slow, who helped liberate a Nazi death camp, and who wishes all day long that his wife was still alive to hold him when nightmares come. He is an ordinary and yet an extraordinary human being, a person who offered some of life's most vital years in the service of his country and who sacrificed his ambition so others would not have to sacrifice theirs. So remember, each time you see someone who has served our country, just lean over and say thank you. That's all most people need, and in most cases it will mean more than any medals they could have been awarded or were awarded. 2 little words. Thank you. All right. At this time, I would like to ask Randy Britt if he will go over and pick up the flag, American flag. I would like to ask all of us, every single person in here, to stand. And I'd like to ask Randy to go back toward the back, and all of our veterans who are here today, please make your way down behind Randy and the flag and join me up here at the front, please. Guys, if you'll just face, just form a line and face the congregation. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of get out of the way a little bit. And Lynn, I want you to come on up and do what you need to do. You and I have talked about this, and this is something that we are delighted to do as a church. And Lynn is going to kind of take over from here.
I'm taking over.
That's right. Yeah, please do. I need it.
I'll wait for my little helpers to come. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. When I was thinking about what we were going to do for Veterans Day, I was remembering that we've just been through an election process that has been something that we've probably never experienced before, or maybe never again. But the one group of people that I was thinking about who always answer the call when, I can now, answer the call when they're called are our military. They're not political. They do what they have to do. And we wanted to honor them in a special way today. I belong to a group of quilters called Glory Quilters. It's part of the Quilts of Valor organization, where we make quilts for veterans. And in the 2 years that the Glory Quilters have been together, we've made 47 quilts and given them out. Sometimes we get applications for quilts, and this past Veterans Day, we sent out, I think there was 8 quilts went to wounded warriors at the VA hospital in Richmond. So we're going to start going into that realm. But it's always a pleasure to do these. And when I talked to Peggy Trickler in the back about doing this, before I could get it out of my mouth, she had them done. And so I was like, okay. So we wanted to present something to you guys, and I'm going to embarrass you by making you telling us your branch of service, what was your rank, and where did you serve, and then we have something special for you. So I didn't line you up in order here, but we'll just go from start with Eric here. All right.
United States Navy during the 60s, served in Europe and also in Dominican Republic. And I was first class SFM.
All right. So we have a flag pin for you and a quilt. And if you want to open them up, some people might want to take a picture of it. And then at the end, we're going to get all of you together covered up in your quilts.
32 years in the United States Army Reserve with the 108th Division training.
Now, our flag bearer here, he's not a veteran yet. And I see all the, what's your rank? First sergeant, okay. He's ROTC, correct? At Webb? Webb, okay. When he graduates from high school, we're going to do a special ceremony for him. So he's not a veteran yet, but he's getting there. What are you going to do after you get out of this?
Enlist in the Marine Corps.
All right. That's great. The other day when London came and played a solo for us, I was waiting for Tommy to stand up and salute because they played the Marine hymn, and I didn't know if anybody knew that, but she played the Marine hymn. So, all right, let me get behind you. I'll come to you back. I'll come back to you.
Spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I traveled a little bit everywhere, overseas, mainly stayed on the East Coast at Camp Lejeune, or at Lejeune as they say now. I enjoyed my time, and I appreciate all the support I got from my family. Thank y'all.
Currently serving in the United States Navy, Williamsburg, Virginia right now. I'm the E3.
E3, okay, great. He's not a veteran yet, but he is a current serving military person, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You can open them up and look at them. Okay, I saved him for last, Ted for last. I know a little bit about his background, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, because I know a whole lot more.
I served in the Civil War.
I knew it.
There's more than one wise guy in this congregation. I served 4 years in the United States Army as Staff Sergeant. I served over in Japan and in Korea during the Korean War. And the greatest experience that I had was being able to be exposed to a different culture and live in it for a couple of years. It made me have a stronger foundation and appreciate what we have here.
One thing I found with talking with veterans and listening to some of the stories from our quilt giveaway is a lot of veterans will not tell you what they did, what experiences they had, not because they're ashamed, but because it's too many memories to them. And so you won't hear a lot of them talk about their experiences. But one of the things with Ted and I that we kind of joke around, when he was serving, he joined the military when you were 17. He kind of fooled his parents into signing the papers for him so he could go. But one of the things we joke about is when he joined the military, my parents hadn't even met yet. So we kind of joke around about that a lot. You know, I wouldn't even hear him when he was serving, but I thank him for his service, and I get to kiss this one. But I thank all of them for their service, and we have two other veterans here who aren't here today, and next week we'll give them their quilts, Bob Diani and Woody. So we'll give them their quilts next week. But I just thank everybody for their service, and I hope you enjoy your quilts. And if y'all will get together, you know, let's give them a hand.
Let's do it.
And if you want to line up over there with your quilts open, I'm sure there's some people who would like to take a picture of everybody with their quilts. Okay? So if y'all just go on over there and get your cameras ready. And Peggy made, like I said, Peggy made all of these quilts. So. Thank you again.
Randy, if you'll lead them back out.
Look at that, there's foam so nice.
Uh-huh.
How come that doesn't happen at home?
One more hand of respect. Minnie Pearl used to make the point that she wanted to make, and then she'd say something like, "That's all I need to say about that." Folks, this is all we need to say about that. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for everything you've done for this. Thank you for everything you've done in recognizing our veterans. It's been a special day to be in the house of the Lord, very special, for a lot of different reasons. May God bless each and every one of you. Please remain standing now as I ask our praise choir to come to the front and lead us in our invitational song.